Sports fans of Real Talk and Hoops Insight, stay in the game with NBA legend Sam Mitchell. Now you can show your love for the In the Game podcast with exclusive merch from the In the Game online store. Coffee cups, caps, grab bold t-shirts, cozy hoodies, sleek thermal drinking cups, and more. It's all with that signature Sam Mitchell swagger. Visit InTheGameStore.com today and get in the game with Sam Mitchell, because it's more than a show. It's a lifestyle on the In the Game Network.
Yo, what's up? This your boy, Home Team Brandon Leak. Always checking in with my homeboy, Naughty Dread. You got to listen to Naughty Dread till the day you're dead, and that way you make sure you get your information fed. Holy. Cool it. Rockin'. Jude.
Call people for me, cause I'm on fire. Always getting high, smoking la la la. Big rims on my car, so I'm sitting in the sky. 3 bad bitches with me, that's my night.
Yep, y'all see it right there. Naughty for President 2032. This is the start. This is the launch of my campaign. It's a long journey. I figured here I might as well start 6.5 years early so I can, be on track. And you know what? I still might not be on track. But today is the official start of me being on track. Y'all see I got all kind of notes around me. I got a book right here. Soul Rub. Let me get my stuff together. Soul Rubs. Today I'm gonna be joined by the author of Soul Rubs, Mr. Rosier Dorsey. He'll be coming on the show in the next segment to do the interview. But y'all already know what time it is. It's the same soup, just reheated. It's another day for the truth on the controversial truth. And man, there's a lot going on in the world. We already know that starting, with the government being shut down, starting tomorrow, Actually, no, it's not tomorrow. Tomorrow is the 31st. That'll be Halloween. Starting on November 1st, all EBT is supposed to be cut off. So many layers to that. It's a lot of people, definitely with this economy, with the inflation. It's a lot of people who are relying on EBT. And it's a lot of families that are going to have to be pulling together to help those who is going to be having a hard time eating, feeding their children, feeding their families. And so I'm kind of mixed on, the whole EBT thing, but I do believe everybody has, just by being born, by being human, there's three things I believe that every human should have, and one of them is food to eat. So hopefully they get this government shutdown resolved real soon. And they're saying that this could go into December. So I guess we're going to have to wait and see how this all turns out, how it all works out. Another thing I saw, and I don't know, I like to get my facts straight, but there was a governor who pretty much said, he feels so bad that the chimps are going to go hungry. And then he tried to backtrack by saying, I wasn't talking about black people, as if black people are the only ones that gets assistance from the SNAP program. And that couldn't be further from the truth. So I just wish definitely our people who supposed to be the people that are supposed to be our leaders, if y'all lean on them that way, then that's up to you. But you see the type of rhetoric they talk. I mean, we just saw where was the last month where email got exposed of some people. I think they call themselves the Young Republicans. And some of the remarks they were using, some of the language they were using, some of the racial rhetoric they were using, and these are supposed to be future senators, future governors, future House members, future Congress people. At that point, it's time to purge. It's time to purge America from all hate and all evil. I think it's well overdue, and we can keep talking this till we blue in the face. I mean, we've been having these same discussions before I was even here on the planet. Some of the same discussions when I'm reading my history books, when I'm learning about Dr. King, and I'm learning about JFK. When I go back and I'm reading about Roosevelt and amongst other people, these issues were around in the 40s and the 50s. I mean, these issues go back to Reconstruction, post-slavery. And we already know the issues prior to that. So there's some things I wanted to bring up before I dive into a couple of my topics that I want to just slide through real quick. So my first story here is that the Senate Republicans defect. They reject Trump's tariffs on Canadian goods. Okay, so Donald Trump decided to give a 10% extra tariff on top of Canada after they made an ad using Ronald Reagan that kind of, he felt disrespected about it. And I'm just gonna play my clip real quick, and then we'll talk about it a little bit more.
President Trump announcing that he's slapping 10% additional tariffs on Canada after that controversial World Series ad featuring Ronald Reagan aired. Here's President Trump taking to Truth Social. I'll read it in part, Joey. It says, quote, Because of their serious misrepresentation of the facts and hostile act, I'm increasing the tariff on Canada by 10% over and above what they are paying now. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Now, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney arrived here in Malaysia earlier tonight. President Trump says he has no plans to meet him. The controversial ad the government of Ontario first ran during the Toronto Blue Jays playoff run, the ad selectively edited a speech by Ronald Reagan after the former president had put tariffs on Japan. Trump says, like Reagan, he believes in fair trade. The president spoke about the ad aboard Air Force One earlier.
I heard they were pulling the ad. I didn't know they were putting it on a little bit more. They could have pulled it tonight.
And the ad did air tonight, Joey. Now, ahead of President Trump's big meeting with the General Secretary of the Chinese Communist Party, Xi Jinping, you mentioned rare earths off the top, Joey. Another big issue is the ongoing trade war with soybeans. Last year, China bought $13 billion worth of American soybeans. This year, zero. And as China's beef...
Now, my whole point in the showing that was not about the tariffs. I'm not here to debate right now whether the tariffs are a good thing, whether they're a bad thing, whether it's hurting American people or not. My whole point is to show that a small contingent of Senate Republicans again joined with the Senate Democrats to reject President Donald Trump's tariffs, this time on Canadian goods. Now, the Senate advanced a resolution from Senator Tim Kaine from Virginia, a Democrat from Virginia, on a bipartisan basis to determine the emergency powers Trump used to declare retaliation tariffs against Canada earlier this year. Roughly the same core group of Republicans, Susan Collins of Maine, Rand Paul, and Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, and Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, joined Senate Democrats to reject the duties. Senator Thomas Tillis, a Republican from North Carolina, opted to vote against this latest attempt to reject Trump's tariffs. My whole point is this. Donald Trump does nothing by himself. It's so easy for a lot of people to always come and, they want to blame Trump for everything. Trump did this, Trump did this. Now, Trump might want to do a lot of things, but this is not a dictatorship that's being run by the United States of America. There's checks and balances that have to be made. And you can see right here, the Senate had to come together to reject this new tariff that Trump tried to put out. So when you see things happening and things that Trump does want, or things that are going by that you disagree with, you have to understand it wasn't one man who made that decision. This is why we always say, make sure that you vote locally. Those local votes are important. Make sure you going to vote for your senators, your congressmen. These are the people who are making decisions. The judges that you do get an opportunity to vote for, your councilmen. These are the people that are making the decisions. Donald Trump is not making all the decisions, people, but he has people who are in agreement with him. He has constituents out there who are going to vote and put people into place because they do want to see certain things done. So you have to understand that. My other point into bringing this story up is this. It seems like it seems like the Republicans and the Democrats can get together when they want to get together and make something happen. Right now, throughout the media, it just seems like the Democrats and the Republicans are so at odds with each other that they don't want to agree on much of anything. Henceforth, why we have the government shutdown right now. But this latest news report that I read shows that they are capable of getting in the room and deciding this is not what's going to be good for the American people, or this is going to be good for the American people, and they can come together and they can get things done. I think they need to do more of that instead of this war that's seemingly happening between them in the media, where one side is portraying the other side as evil and the other side is doing the same thing, and they're just not coming together for the sake of the American people. We gotta do something about that. I also just read another story that struck me that Trump. Let me get my stuff together. I gotta doing the one man today, but Trump directs Pentagon to match Russia and China in nuclear weapons testing. And the thing that was interesting about this article that I'm reading, and this is from The Guardian. Donald Trump has instructed the Pentagon to immediately start matching other nuclear powers in their testing of nuclear weapons, specifically citing Russia and China. This is and the thing that I'm looking for this part in this article that really got to me. Now, the last four nuclear tests by the U.S. codenamed Nevada was carried out on the 23rd of September, 1992, at what is now called the Nevada National Security Site. In response to Trump's post, Nevada Congresswoman Dina Titus posted on X, "Absolutely not. I'll be introducing legislation to put a stop to this." Now, what I was surprised by is the number of warheads that Russia's supposed to have. They're supposed to have over 5,000 nuclear warheads. And China also has over 5,000 nuclear warheads. And it just concerns me. Okay, here's the numbers right here. Russia currently has the most confirmed nuclear weapons with over 5,500 nuclear warheads, while the U.S. has 5,044 nuclear weapons, and that's per the International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons. That just seems like a lot of nuclear weapons. And at a time where it seems like a lot of different countries, especially what we call the powers of the world, the Russias, the Chinas, the United States, a lot of them seem so on edge that it's almost scary to think about the possibilities of what could be coming right around the corner. And we don't know. Sometimes the media, it seems like they fabricate stories or they exaggerate the stories. But you hear about Trump meeting with Putin. He's disappointed in Putin. He's threatening with this or he's threatening with that. Putin is threatening with this. China this. At some point, it's possible that they could butt heads. And having that many nuclear warheads is that's just something that's concerning. Now, I was reading that Trump did put out a statement that I was reading that he would like to diffuse all this. He doesn't want to get into any type of war or nuclear contest. I must commend him, to some degree on what he has done in Israel, between Israel and Hamas, as far as quelling that war, coming to some sort of treaty, some sort of agreement. His works attempting to get the Russian war ended with Ukraine. So, with all the things that may be said about the guy, it seems like peace is at the forefront of his agenda when it comes to worldwide. Now, I was just reading a story earlier where the Pentagon orders National Guard to form forces for civil unrest. The Pentagon ordered state National Guard to form quick reaction forces, teams trained to respond to civil unrest across the country and ready to deploy by the start of next year. This is per multiple reports. The big picture is that the Trump administration has used the National Guard in unprecedented ways, supposedly targeting Democrat-led cities where the president alleges crime is rampant. Now, some of these cities are Chicago, Memphis, Portland, I've heard. Again, if sending the National Guard in, is that going too far? And some may argue that that's going too far, but at the same time, a lot of people have been begging that the government do something about the crime. We need some help with the crime. Apparently, the police forces that are in place, and we complain about the police all the time because we see all the brutality that's being done. We see innocent people getting killed by the police, and we want some sort of, I would say, justice. And we're not really trusting police. So don't get me wrong. I don't think you would necessarily trust the National Guard anymore. But at the same time, there's a lot of gang-related activities coming from citizens and immigrants that the people want to be quelled. What's the solution? It seems like we haven't come up with a solution. So now that the National Guard is being deployed to some of these cities, and I was seeing a guy. He's from Chicago actually, and I saw him on social media, and he was saying you can say what you want to say, but since the National Guard came in, a lot of these young kids who have these guns have been out of sight, out of mind. I don't know if it's the answer. I don't know if it's not, but I guess we'll see the reports by the end of December. If crime is going down, then it is what it is. You know, I can't really make my opinion yet until I get more facts on the details. Anyway, y'all chime in the comments. Y'all let me know what y'all think about, you know, some of the issues that I brought up, some of the stories that I read. I'm gonna go to a commercial break, and when I return, we're going to talk the response mastery method with author. Some of everything. I got it here in this book. He's a jack of all trades. I'll just put it like that. We're going to talk to Mr. Roselle Dorsey Jr. about the response mastery method and what does that mean and what that can mean for you going forward. So y'all stay tuned right here on The Controversial Truth.
Sports fans of Real Talk and Hoops Insight, stay in the game with NBA legend Sam Mitchell. Now you can show your love for the In the Game podcast with exclusive merch from the In the Game online store. Coffee cups, caps, grab bold t-shirts, cozy hoodies, sleek thermal drinking cups, and more. It's all with that signature Sam Mitchell swagger. Visit InTheGameStore.com today and get in the game with Sam Mitchell, because it's more than a show. It's a lifestyle on the In the Game Network.
President Trump announcing that he's
Dr. Rosier Dorsey.
Yes, sir.
So I have you here as
Thank you.
a former insurance claim adjuster, a school teacher for 17 and a half years, a school administrator for 17 and a half years. You hustled as a painter, a mason, a carpenter, a plumber, an electrician, a school bus driver, a taxi and limousine driver, a garbage collector, a tax preparer, a business owner, a driving instructor, and a DUI defense driving instructor, a regular jack of all trades, also an author of Stole Rugs, which I started reading last night, and I was inspired, man. I was inspired. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I've been blessed by the best. Blessed by the best.
I see. I got a lot to discuss with you, but
Okay.
let me start by asking you, because I was reading the book yesterday. I started reading the book, and I realized something that I didn't realize, because I've known you for a while, but I didn't realize that you were born and raised in Haiti.
Yes, sir.
So, tell us, how was it growing up in Haiti, and how did that journey bring you to the United States and becoming a school administrator in the U.S. for over 17 years?
Yes, sir. Well, I spent my first 19 years of life in Haiti, migrated in 1973. And Haiti is an interesting country, but my childhood in Haiti can be characterized as being interesting. Interesting in that I started my academic preparation by my father. He got me to learn how to read and write before I started school. But back then, that was the process. You didn't just go to school; you had to get ready. You had to be tested to be accepted at a school. So your parents had to get you ready. When you were accepted at school, you were able to read and write, and of course speak. And in Haiti at the time, the official language was French. It's still official language, but they're accepting the Creole now. So by the time I started school, I was speaking two languages already, French and Creole. Yes, sir. So it was interesting, but I do believe that it prepared me to go and in the world and accomplish what I've been able to accomplish, to serve how I've been able to serve. But I really attribute all that to the work of God, because God is a wonderful God who has done things in my life that are just miraculous, things that I can take credit for anything, because he's done marvelous things for me, and I know he has much more for me to do. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. I don't think that I was put on this earth as an accident. I do believe that I have a purpose, and I do believe that if you read at the back of the book there is a piece that I call "Dying as a Butterfly." That's what I would like to, dying as a butterfly. I would like to have been able to contribute something, and I think I've contributed, but I have more work to do. We talked about this yesterday. I'm working on the Response Mastery Method, which is a book that is a faith-based book that will help people who have had issues to align their lives with God's will. Because once we are aligned, we have a better chance at responding properly. We all have problems. We all have things that are done wrong. But once we get to the point where we can prevent those things from happening again, we are on a better path for peace and prosperity.
That's what I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you about the Response Mastery Method. What is it, and what's the inspiration behind it?
Well, what it is faith-based strategy that anyone can use to get their lives straight, to let their lives in order, to benefit from the promises of the Lord, which is peace and prosperity. We are all in the same position when it comes to the goodness of God. He loves all of us, and he gives us exactly what we need. And a lot of times we get a lot of things that we won't really want. But what we end up doing, of course, sometimes is move away from him. We think that we are responsible for our own things, and we are, and we're responsible for our actions. However, there are times when we need to really take a moment to praise him for what he's done. And when things are not going the way they should be going, analyze what we've done ourselves. Look at what happened with our lives, with our life circumstances. Take a deep dive into understanding how can I align my life with the purpose of God. Once you align your life with God's purpose for you, you can't go wrong, because he is not going to lead us astray. He's not going to give us the wrong answers. He's going to support us all the time, and he's going to definitely give us the guidance that we need.
Yeah, I was reading the prologue from the speech that I suppose that you're about to give real soon, and it was about Vernon, an ordained minister.
Yes.
And man, I mean, I was blown away because Vernon went through something that was very tragic.
Yes.
And he ended up turning that into, it was almost Job-like. He ended up turning that into something that could inspire other people. I mean, if you want to just touch on that for a second.
Oh, yeah. Let me do that. Let me do that. In 2019, Vernon was ordained minister. Life was good for him, and he started working and getting involved with the church. And 6 years later, 2015, he was sitting at his desk and got a call from a neighbor. So you got to get home. Things are crazy here. We have ambulances, we have police cars, and I don't know exactly what's going on, but you need to come home. As Vernon got home, the front door was blocked with crime scene tape, yellow crime scene tape, and when he tried to push himself through, of course, he was stopped. And the supervisor came in and told him, he said, you know what, you don't want to get in there. This is so horrific. You don't want to go see. Finally, he explained to him, he says, your son apparently killed your wife, killed your daughter, and then killed himself. Being a Christian, Vernon said he knew he didn't need to be asking God why. All he did was turn up and ask, what's next, Lord? That response is the Christian response. When things happen, we know that there is no way that we can go forward unless we ask God for guidance. So he did exactly what he was supposed to be doing, turn over and get into his purpose. And in the church, he started writing a prayer every morning. And when he told me about this, I asked him, can I get on the list there? He sends it to his pastor and his pastor's wives and several other members. And I've been privileged to be receiving these prayers every morning. At 6 o'clock, the prayer comes in every morning. And I've been doing this for almost over a year now that I've been getting the prayer. And that prayer sets me up every morning to start my day on a good foot, which is on the side of the Lord. Every morning, this is a blessing. This is something that I was not looking for. I didn't know. I wouldn't even know how to look for it. We were just, Burton, by the way, is a bowler. We're bowling one Friday, and then we started talking about this. And when he shared this with me, I said, this is something that Christians should understand, that we are not here by mistakes. We are here to really align our lives with the will of God, with the purpose. And Vernon found his purpose, and I know that everyone can find their purposes in life. But the way to do it is to get the right response. We cannot, we cannot blame anyone if they go crazy. We cannot blame anyone if they get really upset for something that like this to happen. Your son killed your wife, and your whole life turns upside down in 1 minute. Many of us would probably just go crazy. And I really don't know how I would respond. I don't think I would have the response that Vernon had. But as an angel, he is now changing my life. And I hope that I can help other people change their lives through seeing their responses with the lens of a Christian.
I was speaking to you yesterday, and you mentioned the 30-day spiritual alignment. Could you go a little bit
That's
more into that?
that's a quest that will for clarity. Change doesn't happen. People who have had problems don't turn around and change overnight. Most psychologists agree that to have lasting and dramatic change, you need at least 30 days. We have a concept in the response master method called H2H, habit to habit exchange, meaning that you have to get into a habit of living like a Christian. And one of the things that I suggest, and I've been doing it, is get up every morning on the right side of the Lord with prayer, with meditation, with praising, with glorifying the name of God. And when that happens, you feel the difference. You feel the difference that your life now, of course, is going to get on the path that you have been ordained to get on. Now, that doesn't mean that bad things will happen. When bad things do happen, you'll have a better weapon. You'll have a better way of approaching them. Because the way we approach problems in life, of course, matters. The way we approach things in life matters. And Christians like Vernon, Christians like myself, need to be out there telling folks that there is a way to do it right. Now, of course, 30 days is a long time. What happens if you have something to respond to right away? Let's say tomorrow. Let's say right now, as you get out of the studio, how would you respond to something that you didn't expect? For example, you get into a highway and someone cuts you off. How do you respond? Well, what we propose is something called pause. The P for pause is stop, pause. Quick prayer. Lord, guide me. We don't need to have a sermon to speak to God. I was explaining this to somebody the other day, and he said, well, how do you know that you're speaking to God? Well, you got to get in the habit of doing it. When you get in the habit of doing it, it becomes almost second nature. You recognize your voice, you recognize, and you recognize his. People say, well, I can't hear. I can hear God's voice. Well, you're not going to hear a thunderous, it's a CNN type of voice. I have not heard that, but I've heard God's voice in many, many, many ways. Like this morning, I got up and went through the reading of the Bible. I read the Bible every morning. I get up at 6 o'clock and read the Bible. After I read the Psalm 5, I wrote down my prayer, and something came to me. Is that I need to get on the first name basis with God. And I asked someone, do you know what God's first name is? The answer is my God. In my country of Haiti, that's the way we call God. We call him Bon Dieu, my God, Mon Dieu, Mon Dieu.
Oh,
My
okay.
God. So first name basis with God is my. I have this God just for me, and he made me just the way he wanted me to be. And when I'm praying, I said, my God, I know I'm speaking with a friend. I'm speaking with the Savior. I'm speaking with the Redeemer. I'm speaking with someone who is listening. And when you get into practice of speaking to God, you get to hear him. You get to understand. You get to feel certain things. This is where the Soul Rub book comes from. The title Soul Rub. There's this feeling that you get that you're in the presence of the Lord. When you're in the presence of God, this is not something you can deny. This is not something you can fake. You either know it, yes, Soul Rub, yes, sir. You either know that you have God's presence or you don't. And when you start getting in the habit of doing that, it becomes evident that this is different. This is not something that the world can give you. Only God can give you that.
Well, when you spoke about a reaction or a response to something that happens unexpectedly, and it may be a negative, something that you won't find as positive, negative, somebody cutting you off was the example that you gave. And I was reading in the prologue that for many of us, the problem is we react instead of respond.
Responding, yes, sir.
Can you tell us the difference
Sure.
between
And
reacting and responding?
Yes, there's a difference. Reacting is a physical action. We panic and we do something without taking the time to stop, pray, Bring God into the fold. Bring God into that discussion there, into that situation. And it takes a second to simply, Lord, guide me. It takes a quick second before we get upset, before we respond in a way that could aggravate the situation. So the second part of pause, of course, is to prevent any other problem. You cannot get into a hole. And when they used to tell me in the Army, when you get in the hole, you don't keep digging to make it worse. You got to try to get out. So to try to get out, you got to prevent any other problems from happening. So if someone cuts me off, I'm not going to chase them. I'm not going to get into a situation where we may end up with a gunfight. That's not what I want. I want the resolution. And at this point here, peace, after asking God to give me the guidance, usually is what comes with me. It's peace. The Lord says, hey, this is not something for you to go crazy about. Just let the fool go. When you start getting close to the point where you are praying all day long, like Vernon, he prays, he says, throughout the day, you understand that the Lord is not going to put you in a position where you're going to hurt yourself or hurt somebody else. And that is the way we respond. And responding is to think, analyze the situation. It takes a quick second to analyze the situation. Someone cut me off. Okay, what's the trigger? And is it my pride? What am I being upset about? What am I being upset about? If you ask that question, logically you get to understanding this is not a big deal. Now, of course, there are problems that are bigger than just someone cutting you off. There are things that will come at you. I was saying to somebody, we've heard the saying that when life gives you lemon, you make lemonade. But what do you do when it's the brown stuff? What do you do with it? There's stuff in life that's just tough. We have a lot of folks who are suffering right now. I was in Australia about February in a public restroom, and I saw a sign that says 47% of Australians are suffering from mental illness. I read something recently that somebody mentioned that in the United States, 85%. We're accepting that we have all kinds of issues, and maybe they used to be around that we're not talking about. We're now talking about them. For whatever reason, we've accepted that this is something that is a problem, and it's a good thing because mental illness is a big issue. I was doing a presentation and I mentioned that, and I said, the way I see it, yes, there are bad things, but there are also some good things in life. One young lady who raised her hand and she said, have you been out there? I said, yeah, I've been out there. She said, well, it's all bad. I said, well, how do we stop that then? How do we get better? And she couldn't answer this because a lot of us are getting hooked into that situation that we want to get to the point where we are sad. Then we are getting into despair. Despair is losing hope. Despair is not recognizing that God's power is all we need. Despair is, to me, slapping God in the face because we are saying you are not going to do what you promised to do.
Right.
So I cannot despair. I tell folks, I tell the joke that I can't complain. I can't despair. Being from Haiti, I have all the reason I could explain, that I had a rough, I didn't have a rough upbringing. I didn't have any water, running water, or any of those things that you would consider common in anybody's house here in the United States. And I didn't have a refrigerator. We brought water from the public fountain they had there, and we saved in the big 50-gallon barrel, and that's what we use. But I had a great life because God was always there. I ate every day. Right. I grew up to be 6'3". We had a house. Our family was big. We were 8 children, and my parents worked. My father passed away early, and things got complicated. But we had the basic. And we all got educated. Everybody went to school. Everybody got a chance to get out of there, and we're doing well. In fact, one of the reasons why I'm still working, trying to get some things done, is because I have a Cross Bearers organization that's looking into helping. We've been helping a private school in Haiti with children's tuition, and we want to expand that. We are getting the business set up. We are looking for board members now to help us get this going. We have some friends who have been on the board in there for a couple of days with me. The problem is, of course, in Haiti, things are not easy. It's not easy to get somebody to get into helping others, because although we have a very small country, Haiti has been known as the capital of the NGOs. That's non-governmental organizations. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of organizations that are in Haiti getting money. They used to get a lot of money from the U.S., from other places, but the problems are not being solved. We were going to get on board with a group of folks who are directing the rural schools. The guy shared with me that there are 334 rural schools. However, the situations are so bad, it's primitive, just outside with a roof and kind of a few pieces of wood. The kids are sitting right there on the piece. And if I show you a picture, you would definitely see this is not where it should be. And when I ask him, what's the plan? Well, we just need some help. We need, well, okay, how have you been surviving all these years doing this and never really brought the point that you need to change, you need to stop this? Well, the reason that he didn't want to stop it, because this is the tug that he gets on everybody's heart. When they see this, they want to provide the money. And he has a big staff. And I said, who's paying these people? He didn't want to answer this. How are they surviving themselves, the folks who are running this? Well, they're surviving from government money. They're surviving from NGOs money. And they're not even seeing this is not something that God would want us to do. We would not want to be in a position where we continue to use children to make money, to make ourselves better. So I continue to really have hope that things will happen, because I do believe that the Lord has a reason for me to get involved in this.
Right. I'm reading, last night I was reading your book, Soul Rub, and there's some that struck me and I underlined it. It says, we are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spirits having a human experience. I thought that was very interesting and very telling, because my mindset is already in the same alignment. So
that's not my saying. That's not mine though. I borrowed it from
according to Father Stu.
Yes. Right, give him credit for it. Yes. That's the quote. And I do believe that we are a spirit, and we know that we are a spirit because we are made of spirit. God is spirit. God made us. Now we do have a human experience, but this is not the end. This is not how the story ends. The story ends with a transitioning to full spiritual spirit, and then living in heaven with the Father, and that's what I believe. However, the spiritual part that we have is often neglected. Why? Because sometimes we look at it as something that's unknown, something that really is strange. But the big mistake that we make is that we forget that we have a spiritual component. We have the Holy Spirit. When Jesus left, he gave us he left us with his Holy Spirit. He left us with his peace, not just as the world gives the peace, but his peace. We are entitled, we are ordained to have peace and prosperity, not because we have done something great, but because we have been redeemed. Because the Lord loves us so much that God sent us his only Son to give us the template for a life that is prosperous and, of course, peaceful. So we're not alone here. We're not alone. We do have something that we can use, and a lot of times, unfortunately, the first thing we do is get to ourselves, thinking that we should be the ones taking care of business, where we could simply turn in the words and say, Lord, Holy Spirit, guide me. And he will, because that's his job. That's his job. He's a comforter. He is a guidance. He's Mark Twain said that human beings are the only animals that can blush. And the reason he says that is because when we make mistakes, when we do something stupid, when we lie, there's a spirit inside of us that says, hey, you know that was wrong, don't you? Right. And that voice is the Holy Spirit's voice. It's our conscience. And I don't know other animals that have conscience, but we have a conscience, and the conscience is God in us. We are made. The NIL for us is really simple. We are made from God. We are made of God, and we are definitely not just flesh and bones. We have a spiritual component, and when we dig into that, we have a way to respond to our problems that is different from those people who don't tap into this. So that you mentioned earlier that spiritual quest, that 30-day spiritual quest, is to get in contact with that spiritual component. As you do this over 30 days, I do believe that you can get to the point where you start getting closer to your spirit, knowing who you are, knowing who your spirit is inside of you. Contacting that spirit often will give you a different perspective. You will have a response that is definitely clearer and, of course, aligned with God's will.
Right. Let me real quickly before we get out of here. I want you to just real quickly talk a little bit about your book, Soul Rubs, and also let the people know where they can find your book if they're interested in reading. I can already tell you there are some amazing stories in here. I wasn't expecting some of the stories that I was reading.
It is, folks. It's been published. It was published by Christian Faith Publishing, and it is available on Amazon, audio, not audiobook, but ebook, and Barnes and Noble. Now, the profits from the book sales are going to that Haitian project that I told you with the Cross Bears Incorporated. So if you can get a copy of that book, I would really appreciate it. But from people who have read it, I've gotten a lot of good reviews on Amazon. It is something that I, of course, put together, but the Lord inspired me. There are things in there that I simply would not have thought of. For example, chapter 4, which is about the Holy Spirit, the manuscript was already sent to the publisher before I wrote chapter 4. I was having trouble sleeping, and I got up about 4 o'clock in the morning, and I went to my office, and the thought came to my mind and said, "You're writing a spiritual book. You're writing a religious book. You're writing a book about your experiences with the Lord, and you're not having anything to say about the Holy Spirit." So I sat down there, and about 8 hours later, I had almost 20 pages of this chapter 4. And I called the folks and I said, I have to amend my my manuscript. I'm going to add a whole chapter. They said, okay, well, we still have time, but we're going to have to charge it. I said, it doesn't matter, but we had to have this put in there. The Lord needed to have this put in His book because He put this together. The Soul Rub title came to me years ago when we were writing. I was writing a family newsletter, and I was sharing these stories that really kind of got me to think, and inspired by the Lord, I was able to put several of those stories in. The family enjoyed them, and they kind of suggested that I publish this, and this is the result there, Soul Rubs. The title came from the feeling that I got when I was reading the stories that I had written. You get the feeling that the Lord is massaging your soul. You get the feeling that you're getting a contact that is not normal, is a spiritual contact.
Right. Before I let you go, and y'all make sure y'all go get that Soul Rubs book. I can already tell you, the testimonies are just amazing. I mean, if you want to just be inspired, to never give up, to believe in God, then this book, it definitely will take you there to allow you to. There's something you were saying in the book about just not hearing it, but seeing it, and just having to being a witness, like almost as if you're there to testify for it. I just thought that was amazing. Now, you might have seen when I was coming on that I have this 90 for President of the United States of America 2032. Now, I've never held any office, any political office But that's like my rhino. That's my focus is by 2032 to be as high up as possible to possibly run for the president of the United States. I want to ask you, as somebody who's had experience doing campaigning, I mean, you're a jack of all trades. You've done it all. What advice might you give me to somebody who's never held any political office, who never held any office? Where should I start on my journey?
Well,
the top.
Very first thing I would say is get with someone who is in the game. Now, the game, a lot of folks don't understand. The game is run by machines. Okay, there's not one person who can run for anything by himself and win. Can't do it. You have to get in the game because there are two major parties, and they can raise money for you. They can put you in a position to win. But these folks will give you all you need to know. And of course, they will give you the knowledge that you don't have right now, that this is not a game. Politics is very serious business in the United States. So I would say find something small. I don't know what your affiliation, if it's Republican or Democrats, there are, of course, people who are in Georgia who can lead you on. There are meetings that are held with with both parties. Even the Libertarians have some representatives, and they can get you to, first of all, understand and see where there is a possibility of getting in. Usually local offices, the easiest ones I've heard would be to run for a school board or something local that will get your foot in the game. There is, of course, 7 years to your presidential run there in 32. That's plenty of time to get in the game. However, as you probably know, it will take some name recognition. It will take a lot of money for you to raise yourself to that national level. But on the local level, you won't need that much money. You won't need that much recognition. You will need local recognition. You will need to be involved. And you will need to have a platform, of course. You'll need to have something that's going to come in. If you're coming into for example, into the education arena where you want to run for a school board, you will first find out, okay, and go to a school board meeting and find out who is about to get off, who's vulnerable, what district are you in, which group would you be serving, and which schools would you be under your district there, and find out if there is something that is a problem, how can you fix it? Politicians, of course, have a bad name. Not too many people trust politicians, but they do serve a purpose. What they do, they find answers to many of our problems. And they fix some stuff. They missed a lot of stuff also, don't get me wrong, but they fix some stuff. They come up, and the folks who do their job properly, what they do, they find a way to get problems solved, not to really stay in office. There's some who just decide that's all they want to do for the rest of their lives. So they keep us hanging on, and they keep problems. And a lot of times they don't want to solve problems. They just want to be repeating the same problem, so they can just have a cry to get folks to vote for them every 4 years, or every 2 years, or every 6 years, whenever. But there are those who do, and there are some good ones who have done some magnificent things, who have changed our world. We cannot really live without them. I wish we would get rid of the bad ones, but the bad ones are part of the entire process. The bodies that represent us work for us. Sometimes they don't realize that they're working for us, but sometimes we don't really hold them accountable either.
Right.
We have to kind of get them to understand that this is not the way we want you to run. We don't want you to simply come in every 2 years and call on me to go vote, or call on me to give me some money. What have you done? We have some local positions here, and right now there's a small, I don't know if it's a small, you would call it small, but the on the 4th, there's an induction here, and in DeKalb County, there's the commission and the two Republicans who are the incumbent, and they've been spending a little bit of money, and there have been some money spent on the two Democrats. They want to replace them, and I don't know how that's going to go, but this is the 4th. I plan to go and vote. So my advice would be really ask yourself, first of all, my advice is always turn to God and ask him, how can I serve? Because if we are really serious, we need to understand that we do not have the power that God has. Okay, we will never have what God has. He is leading us. He is using us, and we align ourselves with him. We said, God, what do you want me to do? Like Vernon says, what's my next move? What do you want me to do? Guide me, use me. If you ask the Lord to use you in politics, he will give you the guidance. He may not be the answer you want to hear, but this you will get an answer to understand, okay, do I really need to get into politics? You may feel that you need to, but I would say pray on it and get in charge of your own journey with the Lord, because that's where it all is going to end. Right. At the end of our days, when we finish, we'll need to be answering the questions. And the questions will be, what have you done with the job I've given you? Have you served your brothers and sisters? Have you fulfilled your purpose? What have you done? Now, I appreciate that you're motivated to get into politics, because there's a lot of good service that people do get from good politicians. But there are other ways that you're already serving. That podcast, of course, is helping folks get the news out, understanding, and get them thinking about things. So, again, ask the Lord to guide you to see if this is what he wants you to do. He'll give you the answers once you ask. Right. And once you ask and you get talking, when you get to talking with him on a regular basis, we are asked to pray incessantly. We are all day long. And it doesn't have to be a long sermon. We don't have to really have a 15-minute prayer. We just simply say, Lord, give me a sign, Lord. Right. Help me find somebody who can guide me through this. Help me find someone who will give me the knowledge that I don't have. And there are folks out there who will be able to, to invite you to a meeting and sit you down and give you all the information that you need.
Right. Well, I appreciate it. Those was some sage words coming from you. I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming on the show today to just, man, I think there's a lot that can come from this. I think there's a lot that people can get from this. So, definitely in these times right now, to just stay grounded and to seek answers from the Lord, just to seek answers from God, and not give up, and understand that you're not by yourself. You always have somebody who's walking that path with you. So we really appreciate you coming on today. We appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to get you back, man, because there's a lot of I could have talked to you for another 30 minutes or an hour. The show ain't that long, but there are other things that I could have dissected today that we didn't have time to get into. But I really appreciate you stopping by and you giving us that great word. Once again, people, go to Amazon and get Soul Love, Roger Dorsey. We appreciate you. Until right. And I'll be back after the break to close up the show and give my parting thoughts. So y'all stay tuned right here on the Controversial Truth with your boy Naughty. Stay tuned.
Sports fans of Real Talk and Hoops Insight, stay in the game with NBA legend Sam Mitchell. Now you can show your love for the In the Game podcast with exclusive merch from the In the Game online store. Coffee cups, caps, grab bold t-shirts, cozy hoodies, sleek thermal drinking cups, and more. It's all with that signature Sam Mitchell swagger. Visit InTheGameStore.com today and get in the game with Sam Mitchell, because it's more than a show. It's a lifestyle on the In the Game Network.
Yes, sir, I'm back. Want to let y'all know that on Mondays, tune in to the Raw Side of Things with comedian Sir Bam Bam. This week's guest is gonna be. Hold on, I got the information right here. I just don't want to get her name wrong, because you know how these comedians be. Sometimes they'll get on here and they'll embarrass you if you got it wrong. But we have a comedian coming on, the lady that's very funny. I don't want to get her name wrong. That's the only reason why. And we had Lab Love on here, but we got Miss Wall Street. I saw Miss Wall Street perform about 2 years ago, and she was very hilarious. So Miss Wall Street will be on the Raw Side of Things on Monday at 1 o'clock. So y'all make sure y'all stay tuned to that. We had Lab Love on last week. Very hilarious comedian out of Atlanta. Just really gave you a lot of the history of coming in Atlanta and being around it. Just how much of a grind it is to be a comedian. Also, we just had Arthur and the Jack of all trades. I don't know. I read a whole bunch of jobs that he's had. I think I might have named every profession that I know. I don't know, but very well traveled, going around the world, a lot of experiences. Somebody that I can talk to and just get to pick him and his wife's brain and just draw from their experience in life. And one of the things that I wanted to do, that I was told to do by a voice that I was listening to, is I think a lot of times we're entertained a lot, definitely. And I'm right now I'm going to just speak to Black people in my community and communities beyond. We're always entertained. We get entertained by the music. We're entertained by the movies, the television. We have the sports that we're being entertained by. It's just a constant entertainment. And as Mr. Dorsey just stated, which was right on time, politics is a very serious game here in the United States of America. And a lot of us don't pay attention to it close enough. Now, don't get me wrong. Anybody who knows me, I'm sort of a rebel. I'm sort of anti. A lot of times I've been growing up anti-government, but at the same time I understand that this is the United States of America. This is where we live, and that there is a game that's being played that we're gonna need to know the rules to. If you don't know the rules to the game, then you can't have any sort of strategy. You can't even you don't know what your next step is gonna be. And a lot of us are ignorant when it comes to a lot of things, politics. On the last show I did called The No Show, we would give you the commandments. We would let you know what the first commandment is, what the second commandment is. All this was the third, fourth, all the way up. I think we stopped at like 14. But the whole point is, and I'm going to continue doing that on this show, but the whole point is for you to know your rights. So you can know what the laws are, so you can have some history on where they're coming from, so you can have an idea of what might be outdated, what might need to be updated, what kind of change that we're able to make as a people. Because once again, as Mr. Dorsey pointed out, the politicians, they work for us. And we always got to remember that. We got to hold their feet to the fire. I live in DeKalb County, in Georgia, and we have town hall meetings every other week, every month or so. And a lot of times when I'm going to these town hall meetings, I find that I'm the youngest person there, and it's a lot more elderly people there. But when you're not there, you don't have a voice. So you have other people speaking for you. You have other people determining what's going to happen with your tax dollars and the things of that nature. And then we sit around and we're entertained by this music, by this TV, by these sports, which is okay. You know, every now and again you want to escape from your reality. I get it, but you turn around and you complain when things are going awry in your life. When you don't understand why the mortgage is up, you don't understand why the electric is up, why the water has escalated, why the EBT is being cut off. You complain about it, but you also have to understand you were so busy, caught up in things that doesn't pertain to you, that you ignored the things that were pertaining to you, that were your responsibility, and then you don't want to hold account. You don't want to take accountability for you being ignorant and not having a voice when you have a voice, but you failed to use it because you want to spend all your time talking about what Cardi B is doing, or what Lamar Jackson is doing, or what the NFL is doing, the gambling. Okay, I get it, but at some point we have to take a step back and we have to focus on the things that are important to us in our community, in our families first. I was talking to a lady a couple months ago, and I said, I get it. You know, a lot of us are busy. We have work to do. We have to be here and there. It's hard to make some of these town hall meetings. It's hard to really get involved. But that's where family comes in my opinion. There were a time where we would get together as a family on Sundays or every other month or every month, just pick a day, and we would all get together and we would talk and we would eat food and we would fellowship together. And that time is a time where you can have one or two people from the family that is going to these town hall meetings, that is getting this information, and at that time they can share with the family the information that they're gathering. And then as a family, we can decide, okay, how do we want to move forward with the information that we have? What do we need to do with the information that we have to make the change that we see fit for ourselves and our community? We have to get back to that. Right now, everybody is so spread out as an individual that we really have no power, or not the same power that we would have if we would come together and have a fist and start punching. So that's something to just think about to everybody out there. Let's get the families back together. Let's start having family outings and being around your family, being around your loved ones, and out of everybody in your family, we just need one or two people to be involved and to have this information so they can bring it back to the whole group. And as a group, we can decide what we need to do as a family, what we need to do as a community, and we can let that grow out, and we can start having a say-so in some of the things that we often complain about but do nothing about. So those are my final words. That's what I got for you. And as Mr. Dorsey just told me, I got a long road to 2032. I got a long road. So today is the start of my journey. I agree that I need to listen. I need to listen to the Most High. I need to understand what is it that I've been called to do to help my community, to help my family, to help my friends have change and move forward in the United States of America and beyond. So until next time, I appreciate everybody from being here. Make sure again, Soul Rubs by Roseville Dorsey. Go check that out. Be inspired. You know, if it can help you, if it can help a family member, if it can just help one person, that'll be an amazing thing. I appreciate you. And until next time, The truth shall suffice. Peace.